Welcome to the Indian Sun. This is Indira Lystrom. This is the start of a series of interviews on Indian women immigrants who are basically entrepreneurs or business leaders. It is our way of telling inspiring stories about immigrants, as well as celebrating the spirit of entrepreneurship and the power of change making. I have with me today Veena Gandhi. Veena Gandhi is the CEO of digital marketing agency called Digital Street AU. Welcome, Veena, to your show. You've had
Thank you so much, Indira, for having me.
you've had a very interesting career trajectory, one that is of slight variation. You started working in Delhi in the field of marketing, in very well-known companies, and then you moved to Dubai, where you said the seeds of entrepreneurship were sown. Tell us about that part of the journey first.
Okay, so first of all, hello to everyone, and thank you to Indira and the Sun for having me over. So, Indira, basically, I started off in advertising in Delhi, as you said, and I worked with some of the biggest brands in the industry. So, some of the brands were from the Coca-Cola company, some were then Hewlett Packard, and I also was a part of the team that launched Delhi Daredevils, the IPL team. And so at that time, when I was in India, I spent about 8 to 10 years in advertising. And after that, my son was very small. My husband got this opportunity and we moved to Dubai. But I didn't like, so initially I was working in Dubai as well. And then, I started getting into consultancy because my goal when I was in Dubai was to spend more time with my son and get that flexibility. So I'm talking about like exactly about 10 years back when consultancy flexibility was still very, very unknown, especially for women. And I would say I was one of the few fortunate ones to get those opportunities to start working, to start basically demanding for that kind of flexibility. And yes, some companies and with freelancing getting into the picture. So I freelance for AC Nielsen in Dubai, Ipsos. These are all big research companies. And gradually I started my own business. So first I started with a storytelling initiative called Tell Me a Story for Children, and which got a lot of critical acclaim. So much so, when I moved to Australia, I was invited by the Sharjah Book Festival there, and I did, about 10 days storytelling workshops there as well. And and I also used to perform at the Emirates Literary Festival, which is a very, very esteemed global literature festival, as we know. And then after that, I started my another business, which is basically was an online portal where we would connect parents with teachers, tutors, as well as parents looking for activities for the kids within a certain area. And that was, and I always say I'm very fortunate in that sense and very blessed that Dubai gave me that opportunity to, explore and rediscover myself.
And then the move to Australia happened, you said, right? So can you tell us the reasons why you moved to Australia? And I remember when you told me that, you also said that you struggled with finding a job despite having a vast experience in, different fields. And then, but you turned it around and you started your own company, right? So yeah, tell us about that.
Sure. So basically, what was happening in Dubai was, I think, of course, I ventured into entrepreneurship and everything, but if we really look at it, it's a very glamorous country. It's very, and you get sucked into that entire glitzy, glamorous world. And we were realizing as parents, both my husband and I, that we didn't want to give our son a little, what should I say, a life in the bubble. We moved away from reality. And very consciously, we decided to move to Australia. And also, we didn't want to go back to India. I'm being very transparent here. We had our own reasons, and we felt that we need to, because maybe a child wouldn't adjust. He was already 7 or 8 years old by that time. Yeah, he was already 7 around that time. And we didn't want to really, go back. And we felt that we needed to explore more options outside India as well. So this job offer came to my husband. We were considering, should we go, shouldn't we go? Because, once you settle somewhere, it's very difficult to uproot yourself again and relocate and resettle and start from scratch. And when we moved to Melbourne, we knew no one, no, as I told you, no friends, no network. And even the weather, I mean, what you read on the internet just doesn't just justify the weather. When you land here and you're like, oh my goodness, it's freezing, and you come from a place like Dubai where it's so warm. And so, apart from just and I started, and obviously, someone like me who's always been working, who's always been working with global brands and then setting up two businesses. So I call myself a serial entrepreneur, by the way. And when I landed here, I thought, okay, let me get some local experience, let me get a feel of the market before I really decide to do what I really want to do. And though my husband kept telling me that you should just continue with your thing, what you're doing. And when we came here, I must have applied for tons and tons of jobs. But unfortunately, every time I would land an interview, they would reject me by saying I don't have local experience, which is okay, fair enough. But what about all my global experience? And there were times, because since I'm in the digital marketing space, and technology is technology, and digital is digital by the end of the day. And we've seen how digital is basically global today. And when I would go, there are times, Indira, when the interviewer would ask me, where I would know I'm smarter than the interviewer. And you just know it when they ask, when you are answering their questions, and then they tell you don't have local experience. So after getting tons of rejections, I think it just made me stronger at that point in time. A lot of frustration, I wouldn't deny. My husband said, just do what you know best and get into your digital marketing, do it here, try and find clients, and you can do it. So I thought, fine, that was the day I decided I'm not going to look for any more jobs. I shut that portfolio of looking for jobs. I registered as a sole trader, and the rest, as they say, is history. And I started, pitching my services for free first, and then I got 2 clients I worked for free, and then they gave me referrals, and then I started getting more and more work. And finally, in 2018, I had to move from a sole trader and launch my own PTY Limited, because, as you grow, you need to have the right structure, right organization. I started hiring my own contractors. And so it's been now 4 years, if I really see, from 2017 till 2021. I've the company has grown. We've got 6 contractors with us working today, and a lot of brands. So fortunate part is a lot of companies that rejected me at the interview stage, some of them are my clients today. So I really feel blessed, proud, and very, very grateful for something like this.
I find it very interesting because I think that's the experience that most new migrants coming to Australia face, the rejection of job applications because you don't have that local experience. But what is also doubly interesting in your case is the fact that you turned around, you built your own company. Now, I would be interested to know how you build your networking from ground zero, because, you've had job applications, but now you're starting this company. So how did, sort of network?
Okay, so what I started doing was I started attending a lot of council events. So if you really look at it, Melbourne as a city has so many networking events and organizations that offer these things, something like the Victorian Chamber of Commerce. You just Google and you'll come with 10 options, but you have to identify the right options for you. So I got associated with a lot of women groups on Facebook, which were basically holding all these workshops. They would tell me, and then I would reach out to them and say, I want to hold a Facebook ads workshop for your community. Can I do it for you guys? And of course, people are willing. You just have to go and reach out to them. If you reach out to 10 people, trust me, seven will convert. 7 will say, all right, we'll give you a go. And once you're at a workshop, people can see your knowledge, they can see your skill set, and then they obviously come to you and they become your clients. That was one strategy I used. Then the other strategy I used was to get involved with business networking events. I would go and network. And they were like, I remember once, and I used to know no one in those events. I would just walk into an event and introduce myself. I would connect with people and also one thing I realized, if you try to sell your services when you meet someone for the first time, people are going to shun you. But when you start chatting with people, start connecting with them, and they start trusting you, that's when they like you as a person, they give you business. And these are some of the strategies I followed, and I followed them very religiously. Then, I started upskilling myself even more, and I joined some international training programs. And there were groups there were other people, business owners there, and you would connect with them. And some of the people I've never met face to face, we've had Zoom chats, and we would call them as our online coffee catch ups. So I would really invest my time doing all those things. And unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time to do it now. And fortunately, we have enough and more business and network to refer businesses to us. But yes, someone starting off, I would say these are some strategies they should really, really use. Even today, if I like someone, and especially women in business, I would just, reach out to them and ask them for suggestion, advice. I got a mentor for myself. Then I started mentoring other women so I'm associated with Inspiring Rare Birds. And I started mentoring other women in business. And this is, how I built my professional network.
Interesting. I would understand. I would imagine that the digital marketing space is very competitive. And as a woman entrepreneur, what are the challenges that you faced?
Okay, yes, it is. It is actually really competitive, because anyone who knows how to write a post, or who knows how to post on Facebook, think we are a digital marketer. Or anyone who can make an Insta reel thinks that they are a digital marketer. But you can always people can always sift through, and business owners are not dumb, right? If you're running a business, you have a certain amount of intelligence. That's why you are out there. The biggest challenge for me was being an immigrant woman. So they would think that, she is an immigrant woman, we can haggle over price. Obviously, I don't want to use words like this, but yeah, that's where the color of your skin matters. But you have to push back, and you have to tell them the value you are giving. So that has been, and even today I face that a lot. Yes, initially I did take on just to get work. I underpriced my services, but not today, because today I know how to play that card, and what I'm really offering. And once you've established yourself to a certain extent, you can actually command what you think you deserve. So that was one of my biggest challenge, was pricing. And then of course today I give that pushback that, hang on, sorry, we work only with these kind of brands, and these are our prices, and we stick to them. So that was one. Second was, again, it's not just to do with immigrant women, it's with women overall in the digital marketing space. It's such a pro marketing world, it's such a male dominated industry, that there are very few women who are visible out there. And and I think that was one challenge for me also, was acceptance. As a woman digital marketer. But yes, the numbers are increasing, and when people start working with you, I think then that gender thing just vanishes. It doesn't matter anymore. And also because my agency works primarily on women brands, and we work in the fashion, lifestyle, beauty space. So people connect a lot with me, because they understand, they think that a woman knows much more about this category than a man would know. So I think that also played to my advantage.
Do you think this is a good time to be an entrepreneur?
I think fabulous time. There has never been a better time. See, when I started off, and I worked from home, right? It's now that I've taken up an office space and everything. But when I started off, I was actually working sometimes from my dining table, my kitchen dining table, also. And thing is, there was a taboo saying if someone is working from home, they might be doing 10 other things than working. But with COVID coming in, and our perceptions changing about that entire work from home culture cropping up, and people realizing that work from home is much more taxing than going to an office space and working, there is that acceptability. And especially for an entrepreneur, if they want to initially cut down all those costs of hiring and of renting an office space, this is a great time. Secondly is, as the market is growing, as we can see a lot of changes are happening globally around us, and people are accepting more and more things, just not products, but also different kind of services. This is indeed a right time for anyone who wants to take that plunge.
How did COVID affect your business last year?
So initially, I'd say in a lot of ways, in terms of revenue, initially when COVID had hit, we lost about 70% of our revenue. Everyone was so scared, because I remember March last year when the lockdown was announced suddenly, because I work with a lot of fashion retailers, and they had to shut down overnight and they didn't know what to do. But we pivoted. We knew that, okay, fine, retail is shut. That is to our advantage. What should we do? We started doing strategies for our clients, and my team pitched, and I pitched a lot of business to a lot of businesses, and we helped them. And since we manage a lot of online space, e-commerce in the online space, we just help businesses. And that's another issue with Australian businesses. They weren't, especially at the retail level, they weren't as strong in their online presence as they were in their retail presence. So we helped a lot of businesses get that retail, that online presence, and who are our clients now. So from initial, again, it's about how you pivot in your business, right? Because business is always ups and downs. So initially, when we were going like this after the lockdown announcement, after, once we were plunging, we knew we had to pivot. So again, we told businesses what to do. They got their act together, and we started seeing our businesses coming back. So much so with COVID, the online space has completely changed. We are having this interview on Zoom. Otherwise, we would have had to have face to face. But now, so a lot of businesses realize that they need to have an online presence today, and I think that really helped our business, because we saw within no time from 70% loss in revenues to doubling of our revenue. And the scale is just going up. We have to, I mean, personally speaking, I turn back and about 4 to 5 businesses a month now, because we don't have capacity. We don't want to take on more work. So this is the kind of growth the industry is also seeing overall.
Well, that's really good news. Now, I wanted to ask you something. How do you think the immigrant entrepreneurship provides value to the Australian economy?
In a lot of ways, Indra, if you really look at it, the biggest one is, of course, taxes. Once we set up our businesses, we are also paying taxes like anyone else. The second is, we people have a drive, a hunger to prove ourselves, because we've left everything. We're starting from scratch. And when there is that hunger, there is that passion, you will always see us innovating and always trying to do more things and doing things differently, just to prove a point also sometimes. If you look at the hospitality industry, especially the restaurants, there are so many people there's so many Indian immigrants in that industry, or the education industry for that matter. There are so many Indians in the education industry as well. And I think that's our biggest contribution, is we as immigrants, and I wouldn't just say Indian immigrants, any immigrant for that matter who wants to make a difference, will go out of their way, will try 20 times harder to achieve their goals. And we people, and you know how it is ingrained in us Indians to do well wherever we go, and something like that really, really helps us. So yes, I think we have a huge role in the economy, in helping boost the economy.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one business question and then a personal question.
Sure.
Looking ahead, in terms from the business perspective, how do you plan to capture value?
Okay, so what is happening is, there are a few ways actually, and this is something, the agency, and that's why when I actually started working on my own business, and I had a vision and I have a mission as well. There are a lot of fly-by operators in the digital marketing space. Every client that comes to me has been burned by 2 other agencies. And my entire agency structure is, we don't onboard anyone and everyone as a client. And we actually say no to people. I mean, fortunately, we have that thing to say no. If we can't get you results, we say no to you. But and I work with a lot of women in business. So my goal is to enable them to get better return on their investment. Plus, also to take out that tech phobia from them, because generally, women have this entire thing about, oh, but I find I can't do this digital thing, or I can't do that digital thing. So by mentoring them, and by simplifying the entire tech digital space for them, I think that's my agency's USP, as well as our mission to help women do that. And I think that's one of the biggest ways we think we are contributing to the entire digital space, and especially women business owners. So even in the agency, apart from just doing their ads, when we look at their stores, how well can they crunch the numbers, how can they do other things like upselling, cross-selling, all these things to increase their business. So these are some of the services we really provide, and we go beyond just running your paid traffic for you. So sometimes my clients joke also that our numbers better than we do, and I said that's my job, to tell you how you can get a better return on investment. So I think that's the biggest way my agency is providing value to our customers today.
And so coming back to that personal question, there would be a lot of women watching you, and they'd want to know how you juggle family life and professional life, and as a woman, what are the tips to maintaining that balance?
Okay, I think that's a great question. And if I said that I'm not struggling, I would be lying. Like everyone else, whether you're a working mom, non-working mom, whether you're an entrepreneur, or you're at a or working for someone else, it's always a struggle to balance your family life and your professional life. So for me, it's more about harmonizing, and I don't like words like balancing and things like that. I think one has to flow into the other, and some things and I'll give you practical tips about how I try to ease off things for me. See, I work from home, and sometimes I go to my office as well, but generally, I work from home. And the biggest thing I've done is that women are afraid to delegate. They are afraid to ask for help. The biggest thing I've done is to get help for me for housekeeping and cooking, because I realize those are the two things which are most time consuming. And trust me, if you can afford these things, please go ahead and go for them, because till the time you don't learn to delegate, you will always be like a cooker pressure. And I strongly believe a happy mother or a happy woman is more important than a perfect one. So this is my biggest thing about that balance. My husband has a very, very busy professional life as well. So I know from being a taxi mom to the cooking and cleaning, I can't do it all. I need to make sure that I have that kind of extra help for me. And I don't mind getting that help. And that's my tip for anyone. Don't, we become penny wise and pound foolish is my thing, especially here.
And any other professional advice you would have for women who also want to start up and small businesses or big businesses or whatever?
Yes, I think it's the right time. And there are no business, and this is the biggest thing I've learned in businesses. And two things I would want to talk about here. One is, if you've set your mind to do something, go ahead, do it. You will not see overnight success. It's not a bed of roses. You are going to see a lot of ups and downs. But if that's what you want, just stick to it. You even stick to that to that job where you don't like the boss. You might not get a fixed income initially. You wouldn't know what is happening around you, but be consistent, stick to it, and you will, and be just dedicated to it 100%, no matter what people around you say. So that's one. Secondly, is to get a business buddy. I think that's so very important. If you're really planning to get into business, get a business buddy who can hold you accountable, because it's very, very easy to waste your time doing to look busy and do unproductive tasks. So it's very important to get a business buddy who can hold you accountable, and let that not be your spouse, because you'll always be fighting and bickering with each other. So get a friend, or get another business owner or a businesswoman to help you out with that. And third is to get a mentor. It's very, very important to get the right mentorship.
Thank you so much, Veena, for your time. Wish you all the best for your future endeavor. And I'm sure a lot of our audience have found your story inspiring and interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Indira. I had such a great time chatting with you. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.